Thank you, Mr. Adams. Appreciate that. Moving on to student and staff recognition, Ms. Morgan.
Good evening. This is always the board members and myself one of the favorite times of the evening because it is a time we get to recognize our students and our staff for outstanding performance, for great contribution to leadership, and for being a part of the Henderson County Schools. We're going to actually start this evening, board members, with an elementary school who just learned a few weeks ago that they have obtained Lighthouse status with the Leader in Me program. So I'm going to begin with asking Chrissy Redmond, principal, to come up. Oh, sorry. Redmond Sandifer for many years. Miss Sandifer. So sorry. How many years have you been married, Chrissy?
13.
13. And have you share with the board and the audience tonight who you brought with you, what does Lighthouse status mean for Jefferson Elementary, and kind of turn it over to you.
Thank you. Good evening. Before I start, I would like for my whole team, students and staff members that are with me, to come up front and stand if you will. Because that's the most important part of this whole entire accomplishment is that it was such a team effort. And I could not have done it. Come on down.
Students get front row.
Yes. Front row status. So, 4 years ago, as a school, we did some major reflecting on our practices, our school, the perception of our school, and what we really wanted our school to be for our kids and for the future of Jefferson. And so one of the things that we knew that we wanted to embark on was changing the culture in our building. That was the number one thing that we wanted to start doing. And so a neighboring school, Chandler Elementary, had just become a Leader in Me school. So that kind of intrigued us, and we started studying as a staff. We did a book study, and we knew that this was exactly what we needed. So 100%, we jumped in, and this has been a 4-year journey. And when you become a Leader in Me school, you know within a 3 to 5 year span that you are expected to progress far enough to become a Lighthouse school. And so we applied several months ago. And we had a huge, it's kind of like an audit. They come into your school, they evaluate everything that you've done over the past 3 to 5 years of every aspect of your school, from culture of your building to academics, to parent involvement, community involvement, leadership roles for students, leadership roles for staff. And we had to collect all of this evidence to prove that everything that we do in our building is about leadership. And we knew deep down in our hearts that we're all about leadership, and we knew that that's what we were trying to grow in our building is current leaders and future leaders. And they called us and they said, you did it. You have obtained Lighthouse status. And so we had a huge celebration. We actually just celebrated in the community the Friday before spring break and had a huge celebration. We all have these shirts now that this is our student Lighthouse team. They are the little student leaders of our building, and they are wearing our newest shirts that we had made to brag about our accomplishment. So they are going to show you guys a little snippet tonight of what we do during our morning assembly every single day. And our morning assembly is also led by student leaders. But before we do that, I'm going to let the student Lighthouse team introduce themselves, and I'm going to go through and introduce our staff members for you guys. Allison Fleck, 5th grade teacher. Jessica Duncan, kindergarten teacher. Jennifer Sikorka, she's 2nd grade, and she's also a member of our staff Lighthouse team. Bethany Lander, kindergarten. Gwen Courtney, instructional coach. Summer Mabry, kindergarten teacher and Lighthouse team member. Carla Bender, 4th grade teacher. Jamie Law Allen, guidance counselor. Michelle Buckman, 3rd grade. Kara Williams, math intervention. Jessica Emerson, 4th grade. And Jesselyn Hazel, 4th grade and Lighthouse team member. Okay, are you ready to introduce yourself?
I am Jaylee Chamberlain. Jessica Wright, Mackenzie Majors, Dallas Majors, Lorelai Duncan,
Reagan Abbott.
Aiden Zimford.
Okay, well, after we do this, we'll be finished, but we just wanted to thank you guys. I'm so glad that we were able to be recognized tonight. It is a huge deal for our school, and everybody standing up here, as well as everybody that wasn't able to be with us tonight, had to work very hard, and like I said before, it was a huge team effort. So we are very proud of ourselves, and I know that you kiddos are proud too. Ms. Mackenzie, I'm going to let you hold the microphone. If you guys would kind of gather around like a little U shape, bring it in there a little bit.
I
am a Jefferson leader. I serve my home, school, and community with pride. I work hard to become a better leader and a better me. I choose to lead. L, listen. E, effort. A, accountability. D, determined.
We're gonna do our 7 habits motions. All right, habit number 1.
Be proactive.
Habit number 2.
Begin with the end in mind.
Habit number 3.
Put first things first. Big rocks.
Habit number 4.
Think, win, win.
Habit number 5.
Seek first to understand, then to be understood.
Habit number 6.
Synergize.
Habit number 7.
Sharpen the saw.
All right, those are 7. Jefferson Jaguars, we are very proud of your accomplishments, and we know it takes hard work to be a leader every day. And you're a shining star in the Henderson County school system. We're very proud of you.
These young leaders in front of you, it's an honor to be chosen for the Student Lighthouse team because their teachers pick these students. Out of everybody in their class, they were chosen to be represent their classroom and to be a member of the Student Lighthouse team. And they help make and drive the decisions in our building. So it's a very big deal.
Let's give our Jefferson Jaguars staff and students one more round of applause. Students, if you want to stretch together a little bit, and staff will want to get a picture, please, before you all sit down.
Thank you, Jefferson and Mrs. Sandifer. All right, the next person we would like to recognize this evening is our April Judges Scholar. This person actually, I think, goes tomorrow. And I would ask Mr. Rob Carroll to come forward along with Jesselyn Oakley. Jesselyn is a 5th grade student at South Heights. And this tomorrow will be a very special day for you. She will get to meet the county judge executive. She will meet our county attorney. She will spend time in the courts and then have a very special recognition at the end of the day. And while she's standing up here with us and I give her a Medal of Excellence for being selected, I'm going to let Mr. Carroll talk a little bit about how and why she was selected.
All right, you guys all know that I love South Heights very much, and when we talk about putting a face to what I love so much, we have a lot of discussion, and there's a lot of kids there that can kind of exemplify what South Heights stands for. But when it got right down to it, and we got kind of to the finalists, and we had about the 4 or 5 that we were thinking about, we really couldn't think of anybody other than Jaslyn. Because if you know her, and if you're in the classroom with her, if you're in the cafeteria with her, if you walk in the halls, there's never one moment that you don't see what you see right here, this beautiful princess standing in front of you. She's always got a beautiful smile. She's always working hard. She's always working together. Nothing was ever given to her. She's had to work hard for everything she does. So she really exemplifies exactly what South Heights is about. So I'm very proud for her to be our Judges Scholar.
Congratulations.
With her this evening, she has brought a couple guests with her, and so I'd like for parents, I'm assuming, to stand, and I'll let you introduce your guests. Them three.
Who are them three? This is,
My stepdad,
and his name,
John Gaines,
beautiful. Next is,
my mom,
and her name is,
April Gaines,
fabulous. And who's at the very end?
my mom.
Thank you all so much for coming and supporting her. We're very proud of her accomplishment, and I know she'll thoroughly enjoy her day. Congratulations. All right, next on our list is North Middle School, South Middle School, and Henderson County High School. And we will bring North Middle School students back in May so that the board members and the audience can recognize those students. But we also, I noticed that we have with us the band director for South Middle School, Paul Metzger. If he could come forward, please. Did he leave? Oh, okay. Paul Metzger. I haven't seen Mr. Adam Thomas in the room, and Mr. Alex Grimm went to our central office. And I'm thinking that's where the board meeting was instead of here. And so we will meet up with him next month as well. But why we're talking about band this month is because, and I'm just going to kind of read some accolades that we've received in this past month from our North Middle School, our South Middle School bands, and our Henderson County High School bands. Oh, I have to get my cheaters. Both middle school bands earned the highest rating possible at festival. North Middle School Concert Band, consisting of 7th and 8th grade students as well as 2 6th grade students, received a distinguished rating from all 3 judges on their performance, as well as a distinguished rating in sight reading. South Middle School Band received a distinguished rating on from all 3 judges on their performance, as well as distinguished rating in sight reading. The 2 ensembles from Henderson County High School performed at the festival, and on Wednesday, the concert and symphonic band earned overall distinguished ratings, performing grade 4 music. So we wanted to make sure that this month in April, we pause to tell our band directors, thank you for the work that you do with students. And North Middle School is represented here tonight with Mr. Paul Metzger, and we will meet South Middle School, and we will meet North Middle School Monday night. Mr. Metzger, thank you for your leadership and what you do with our students. Would you like to make any comments tonight? Thank you so much for being with us. Okay, I think we saved the best for last. This is a very special story, and this young man has affected many lives in the Henderson County Schools, whether those lives are a student, a coach, an administrator, but he has become such an amazing part of the Henderson County School team. We are, yes, we have some athletes back here as well who come to cherish what we know about Savion. We're going to start our introduction actually tonight with Savion. Savion, would you come join me? We're going to start the introduction of Savion with his principal when he entered preschool. Mr. Steiner, would you come up and say some words about Savion?
Savion has changed quite a bit since we originally saw him as a preschooler. He and I came into Bengate the same year. I came back and that was several years ago, and he was in preschool my very first year as principal. So I go way back with Mr. Savion and Miss Savage as well. And I can say a lot about Savion, but what I'll say mostly is his mother has pushed and wanted to make sure that Savion was ready for whatever was coming. And she was always supportive, always there to make sure that he was doing what he needed to do, and if he wasn't, she was on it. And so I know other people are going to say a lot about Savion, but I wanted to make sure I said something about his mom and what she meant to us as an elementary school, and obviously what she means for you. But Savion, I don't know who's learned more since you started preschool, you or me, over the last few years. It may be a tie. But let me introduce some of the coaches that he's worked with. If you're a coach that has worked with Mr. Savion, or he's worked with your team, if you guys want to come up, and then I'll let you kind of say a few words as well. So I think football's here, coach from basketball, and coach from Lady Colonel basketball are here as well.
Savion is currently our sports manager. He's not football manager, he's not Lady Colonel's basketball or basketball, he is our sports manager. So very proud of him. Coach, what would you all want to say?
I'll go first. Savion. Took me a while to get his name straight. He straightened me out on pretty quick. I just met him this year. Basically, knew a little bit about him last year. Stephen introduced him to our coaching staff, and then I knew he was helping with football and boys basketball, and he's just been a great help for us. Not only just been, good to be around and fun to be around, but he does a good job. He gets after what he does and makes sure everybody's in line in practice, and he keeps the water going, and he can flat clean. I mean, you need something clean, he can do it. Thank you, David.
We didn't know that Savion was going to be helping us out until picture day. And then all of a sudden, Savion showed up, big smile on his face, said, "Coach, I'm helping you this year." And I'm, okay. I didn't know. Can I get the picture? Well, we're going to have to find you a shirt. Savion is his fantastic energy, his smile. He exudes that all the time, and it rubbed off on our players this year. And I know that was it was positive for our program just to see that kind of an energy and enthusiasm every day. And what was great about it was there was no job that was too small for him. Coach L talked about how well he cleaned. His attention to detail. I mean, he would yell at me if the water bottles weren't ready and sitting where they needed to be sitting. He would get on me with me. He would let me know. So there was no detail that was too small for Savion, and he took a great pride in Colonel basketball, and he would keep up with the fouls at the end of the bench. And if our guys were fouling too much, he made sure to let me know. So it wasn't just basketball, and it wasn't just cleaning. He was a part of our Colonel family, and he did a great job of I think bringing people together in our program. So for that, we appreciate all you did, Savion.
He really did the same thing for us too. He stayed right in my ear every day. If a kid left something on the floor, he made sure to come in the office and tell me that players left clothes on the floor, or if they left their weight bench sitting out. He made sure to remind me of that too. The big thing with Savion is he's got a trait that a lot of kids in today's generation don't have. Savion finds the next thing to do. There's a lot of kids in today's generation that whenever you give them instructions, they do what you told them and then go to their phone or go to something else. And Savion doesn't do that. He's got a natural trait of whenever he finishes what he's asked to do, if he don't have anything else on his list, he finds the next thing to do without you having to say, "Hey, this needs to be done," or "Hey, maybe this is something we should do." He goes and finds that thing, and that was very identifiable whenever it came to a lot of things. We would find him doing things back in the training room that kids have never done. Like, "What are you doing, Savion?" I'm like, "Oh, this stuff needed to be cleaned up, or this stuff needed to be put back." And he did those things. So our football program was very appreciative to have him in it. So thanks.
It was a delight to watch him from the sideline. Many of us did that during games, and you inspired several of us as we watched your work ethic and do great things. And you definitely deserve the Medal of Excellence tonight. As you can see, as you look back, you have athletes that came here tonight just to honor and to congratulate you. And would you all come up front and join him quickly also for a picture? And who did you bring with you while they're coming up here? I see somebody's, who's in the audience with you, Savion? His mom, Ann? She's like her sister? Okay, awesome. You all come around this way. Let's scoot down a little bit. Mr. A.D.? Oh, and his teacher too. Sam McVicker, absolutely. Would you please come join us? What an awesome tribute to a student when you have fellow students, coaches, teachers, parents, all coming together. Coach Ashley, this picture.
I'm the photographer. Show your teeth, brother. He made this year's prom court, so who knows? Come Saturday night.
Congratulations. We'll be looking forward to seeing how that turns out. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Morgana. Okay, you all know that I get so excited when we're gonna do kids and celebrations of what they do. I got so excited that I skipped over part of our agenda. So now we have to back up. Ladies and gentlemen, can I get a motion to approve the agenda as listed? Thank you, Ms. Tracy.
I'll second that.
And thank you, second. Mr. Mike, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried. Now we can proceed. Thank you all. My apologies. Next on our agenda is public participation of guests. Is there anyone that wants to speak before the board this evening? Hearing none, I do know that we have some soon-to-be student ambassadors that are still training. These are juniors who will be our ambassadors for next year. Connor Coombs, excuse me. Abby Perry, and Krista Parker. Welcome. Thank you all for coming.
Hey, Ashton.
Moving on, we need to approve the minutes from the prior meeting, meeting April 11th. It was a special called work session. Has everyone had a chance to review those meeting notes? And does anyone have any changes? Hearing none, I'll look for a motion to approve the minutes as listed. Thank you, Dr. Sugg. I'll second that. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried, minutes approved. Moving on to financial. We're moving this up in the thing tonight. Treasurer's report, Ms. Cindy Cloutier.
Okay, the treasurer's report for the month of March included total receipts of $4,668,832 and total expenses of $5,595,638 for a net increase in all funds of $926,807. Any questions?
Madam Chair, members of the board, I request your approval for the treasurer's report as submitted tonight by Cindy Cloutier.
Look for a motion to approve the treasurer's report as reported.
So moved.
Thank you, Ms. Tracy. I'll second that. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried. Moving on to the paid warrant report.
Okay, the paid warrant report is for the period of March 21st through April the 17th. A couple of the payments we'll point out are Danco Construction, Spotsville work, $158,297.01. Gordon Food Service, $143,178.32. Henry's Plumbing for more Spotsville work, $140,850. Westco International for Spotsville materials, $107,984.57. Prairie Farms for milk, $52,985.45. Eagle One Supply, materials for Spotsville, $36,187.42. And Irving Materials for more work at Spotsville, $29,972. Total paid warrant reports for this period, $2,551,562.22. Any questions on the paid warrant report?
Any questions, board members?
Board members, I request your approval for the paid warrant report as presented this evening by Cindy Cloutier.
Thank you. Do I hear a motion to approve the paid warrant report?
Make a motion, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Mike. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Thank you, Ms. Tracy. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried. Moving on to committee reports. I don't believe we have any this evening. And the next thing is Spotsville Construction. John Hagan. Who's on the list?
Is there a mic up?
Okay, before I get to the agenda item, just give you a real quick update on what's going on outside. Fight through the mud today from the rain last night, but masonry work continues, gym walls primarily. Waiting on a little steel material, supposed to deliver on Wednesday this week. But in the meantime, the classroom and corridor walls are going up. So, electrical plumbing's going in the ground and in the walls. Weather pending Thursday or Friday this week will pour a big section of slab on grade in the classroom wing. So, thus far, the quality work's very, very good. Architect and us are both pleased. So, nothing to complain about there. Things are moving pretty well for the most part. Getting to the agenda item, if you recall, back in the fall when this project bid, there were two packages that received no bids, and there was one package that got a late bid via email, so obviously that couldn't be accepted either. So we have three bid packages that need to rebid, which are the elevator, kitchen equipment, and the window and storefront. So tonight, I'm just asking for permission to advertise and rebid those three packages. If approved, I'll send the advertisement to bid to be run in the local newspaper, and I will send the bid documents tonight so we get back in the hotel room over the plan room. So plan is to rebid May the 9th, which I believe is a Wednesday, which will give us enough time to come to your May meeting and recommend those packages for the board.
Any questions for John Hagan?
I just have one.
Yes, ma'am.
It's really easy. Those frames that I see, windows or doors?
Doors.
Thanks, that's all I needed. It looks wonderful though, when I drive by.
It's going well.
cheer.
It's finally progressing pretty well.
It does look like a building, kind of. Except I was arguing, I thought they were windows, I lost.
Another 30 days, you'll really be able to see things take shape.
Well, Ms. Tracy, I'll let you redeem yourself. You can make the motion that we rebid these three items that need to
I
be
will
bid.
make that.
I'll second that, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Mr. Michael seconded. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried, yes, sir.
Failed to mention. Additionally, there will be requests for proposals sent out for the testing and balancing of the HVAC system. That's, has to be a independent third party, hired directly by the board, but I'll handle those proposals myself and will recommend at the May meeting as well.
Does that need separate action on that?
Do you need it in the minutes as
In
a separate action?
Probably should.
Sure.
Okay. Dr. Suck, you and I need to get in on this. Do you want to make a motion that we approve the?
I will happily make that motion.
Thank you, and I will second that.
Y'all better hurry.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried. Thank you, John Hagan.
Ms. Barrett, can I
Yes,
say
ma'am.
one other thing? Thank you for the weekly updates. I truly do appreciate that as we've gone through the project and you're passing those on to administration and keeping all of us informed. I don't live out near Scottsville. I'm sure Tracy sees it almost every day, but it helps when I haven't seen it for a few days for you to give us those updates. And even if you drive by, you can't tell what's happening at the ground level, which is where we were so concerned. So thank you for giving us those.
Thank you.
Thank you,
My
Dr. Smith.
husband just takes me up there and he goes, we need to look around.
Okay, moving on to Henderson County High School Athletic Report. Mr. Jeff Corso.
Well, as you can see, we finished up our winter sports and getting involved in our spring sports going on. We had a successful winter sport season as our Lady Colonel basketball team won the regional tournament for the 14th time, 11th out of the last 13 years, and got to the Elite Eight of the KHSAA state tournament in Northern Kentucky. Elisha Owens was a Region 2 Player of the Year and also was a candidate for Miss Basketball, finalist there. And this Wednesday at 5, she's going to be signing to continue her education and basketball career at Georgia Southern University, Division I school out of the Sun Belt Conference. And the Lady Colonels finished at 28-6 this year. Our Colonel basketball team, they bounced back after our season last year to finish 22-10. They were district champs, and then they were defeated by the eventual region champ, Hopkinsville, in the semifinals in a very close and tight game. And we won't talk about the officiating, anything like that. So archery, in fact, our archery team goes this Thursday to the state tournament up in Louisville, the KHSAA state tournament, and because they were region champs this year. And also they competed in the NASP, which is the National Archery in Schools Program state competition, and they finished 4th out of 102 schools. And so very well with our archers that performed. And then our spring sports, we've been kind of hindered by some rain and really some cold weather for our spring sports, but they've gotten off to a pretty good start. We have 37 baseball players within the program, 29 softball, 19 tennis, 43 students participating in track, and 19 fisher, men and women. So we have bass fishing going on, and they have a regional this weekend. And excited about that, and was talking to one of the parents and just this evening about the excitement with our bass fishing program that's going on. In fact, Miss Stanley, I think, has the bass fishing shirt.
I supported it the Friday before spring break.
Yes, and I think they're wanting you to drive one of the boats.
I'm all in. I'm all in.
So, for that. But our baseball team is at this point is 12-7, and our softball team is 3-14. In fact, they're playing right now against Gibson Southern out of the North Field. But Henderson County High School, we continue to comply by all KHSAA bylaws and are doing well there. Any questions? Thank you all very much.
Thank you very much. We appreciate that. Moving on to health coordination. Ms. Nancy?
Good evening. I want to thank all of you for giving me a few minutes to speak with you, give you a report on our health and wellness, our health coordination for Henderson County Schools. As you are all very aware, we live in an outstanding community, and for us to truly be able to appreciate and enjoy our community, it's important that we educate our students and our staff in healthy practices to live have a lifelong success in Henderson County. And part of what I do is as the Henderson County Schools Health Coordinator is I oversee these components of health and wellness, which is school health and safety, and health education, physical education and activities, and so forth. Everything that you can think of that has to do with health and wellness. To kind of bring you up to date on what we've been doing for the last year is as a community and as a school system that's really wanting to focus on a school health plan, we decided to adopt the Alliance for a Healthy Generation, which provides the Healthy Schools program. It's a framework of best practices to help our wellness teams in our schools to implement a solid health program. It also includes the School Health Index, which is something that we've been doing as a district for a long time. For several years, we have created health and wellness teams, and we felt like with the Healthy Schools program that it would give us the guidelines to and the framework to create an outstanding system. If you'll recall, in 13-14, our district adopted CATCH, which is Coordinated Approach for Child Health, and with that we received some community funding and school funding, and we were able to purchase a curriculum and receive training for our PE teachers, and some of our other teachers, and some of our wellness team on health and wellness curriculum. That in itself is a phenomenal curriculum that not many school districts in Kentucky have a curriculum that is so aligned with physical and physical health and with child nutrition and best practices for healthy well-being. So with that piece that we have, then from there we did our CATCH kickoff. We typically kind of focus in the fall when we do Rotary Field Day as the beginning of the school year, and our wellness teams start preparing for all the events that they're going to be having in their schools and that we're going to be having in the district throughout the year. As far as our school health and safety policies, our wellness teams have been busy for the last 3 years in refining and updating their school health policies, and as well as their safety policies, and creating a healthy environment, from food service, educating in My Plate, to the guidance counselors in elementary, teaching their kids, their students, and the PE teachers teaching the students about go, slow, and whoa as far as healthy choices for snacking and for eating in our cafeterias, offering good examples of the go foods and healthy choices on My Plate. Another initiative that we've also started with the Healthy Henderson Coalition is the Better Bites snacks. Our health and nutrition director, Charlotte Baumgartner, is getting some of those snacks to include in the summer feeding program, and then we will also include them throughout next year. As far as our health education, our PE teachers have not only have they been teaching much of the curriculum, but they have also invited other physical activity enthusiasts to come into the school and to educate the kids in anything from pole vaulting to Zumba dancing, and even doing health science fairs where teaching some of our youngest students about health and wellness. Some of the other physical activities that our PE teachers and wellness teams have been involved in is the cross-country events for our kindergarten through 5th grade students, where they did 4 events last fall, where they did cross-country events at East Heights. We've also had our family resource centers inviting the bike rodeo safety, to come to the schools and teach our students proper safety regulations when they're riding the bike, and practices when they are riding with families and crossing the streets, and the correct gear to wear. We also have intramurals at the high school, not only just for their regular PE, but we also have intramurals that they've been involved in, and our middle schools. And we ended up at the end of last year with our 5K glow run. Our kindergarten through 5th grade students participated in a fun run before the glow run. A few other things that I wanted to mention about our child nutrition services. Ms. Baumgartner has been instrumental in adopting several programs to provide fruits and vegetables to students throughout the day. Of course, all of our kitchens are aligned to the federal and state FDA food guidelines. Along with that, they have received several grants that offer kiosks to provide fruits and vegetables for students throughout the day. Another key component of our health and wellness is our health promotion for our staff. Adrian Cruz has been instrumental in offering health checks to all of our schools, and as well as mammogram vans that have been going around and taking care of women's services, and doing BMI checks and blood pressure checks, and providing all of that for all of our schools and all of our departments, transportation, maintenance, central office, everyone included. Another big portion of our health promotion for our staff is we create in Henderson County Schools Ultimate Challenge, where we have 6 events throughout the year that we participate in, from cornhole in the fall to volleyball in the spring, and even in the summertime when we have some of our retreat, our administrative retreat. Ms. Stanley is always making sure that we're doing something to challenge us physically and mentally. I mentioned to you earlier that we had the Let's Go Crazy Glow Run. This will be our 2nd annual event for that, where we'll have staff and community members participate in the 5K run and fun, and then our students, K through 5, will participate in the fun run. We'll also have the wellness fair for a couple of hours before the glow run starts. Some of the other things that we have participated in this year is the Pink Out, where we partnered with Methodist Hospital and had a tailgate and football extravaganza in the month of October in honor of breast cancer awareness. And you also see that we participate in many community activities, including the Christmas parade. That's part of our staff ultimate challenge, and the school or department that wins the highest acknowledgement in the parade, they also receive points in the staff ultimate challenge. Just to kind of wrap it up, those are a few more pictures where you can see that staff and students involved in some of our community and activities that are associated with health and wellness. I mentioned to you earlier that we adopted the Alliance for a Healthier Generation as kind of our guidelines to design our school health plan. And we just recently learned from the Department of Education that this too is the same program that they've adopted. And so it fully aligns with Senate Bill 1 and ESSA. And so starting this summer, our district wellness team as well as our school wellness teams will be provided additional training, not only from the Alliance for a Healthy Generation, but also from KDE and Jamie Sparks. So we feel very good that since we've already had several workshops throughout the year with the Alliance, we feel very good that we are just ahead of the ballgame in making our school and community healthy and wellness informed from students to adults. Do you have any questions?
Do you have the date for the Glow Run?
It's May 13th. And I just wanted to mention that I provided to you the stats on just the health clinics, because I felt like that's just kind of one of those things that you can't really talk about, but if you can see the numbers, you can kind of understand that component of our health and wellness. That's truly an element of school safety, to be able to provide our students with the services that they need for health and wellness. Thank you.
I will also note, when I was doing some research regarding other school districts of our size and school districts around us, one of the things that some of the outside and independent research and information groups that do on schools across the country and in the state of Kentucky, the biggest things that they look for is health and wellness and safety. And I was pleasantly surprised that we ranked pretty good on all of those charts, but that is something that a lot of people look at. So we think it's just about education, but we are ranked on that as well. So thank you for your efforts. Any comments? Yes, ma'am?
Yes, just a comment, not a question, because I know you're not prepared to answer this tonight, but as you know, we've talked several times as a board about mental health for our students and for our staff as well. And recently, there was a shooting where an estranged husband came in and actually shot his wife at school. So our staff is certainly on our mind, as well as our students and families. So that mental health piece, I just wanted to, again, put a bug in everybody's ear that I hope we're looking at ways to support that and for next school year. And I hope that in the budget, we'll see something that we can work on. I know adding staff is never a good thing. We don't like to do that if we don't have to, but it's very, very clear that our students and our staff need that additional support that teachers are just not equipped to do in the classroom. So I know since that is part of what you're working on, Nancy, and I know you'll be working on that. So just, I look forward to it and know that you have my support for anything you can do to add something that will help all of our teachers and students.
I appreciate you saying that, and I really think that Ms. Stanley is well ahead of the ballgame on that, and she has been working with us for many months and on some plans that she will certainly address with you guys, but also Mr. Steiner has completed a lot of training and brought in a lot of mental health experts in to saturate our school district, where we have what you would call a trainer at each one of your schools, as well as for health and mental health, and Mrs. Gelke as well with trauma-informed care. So there are several pieces that they've been working on, and she will be sharing some more with you.
And we plan to bring that back in May, next board meeting, because that's the time we will look at staffing and budgets. And we really have taken that 30,000 feet view of trying to look through like a tier 1, tier 2, tier 3. And so yes, that will definitely be ready for you all to review next month.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Dr. So. Moving on to old business. Second reading of policy 09.423, use of alcohol, drugs, and other prohibited substances. Ms. Morgana?
Sure, Madam Chair and member of the board, we looked last month at implementing a policy for random drug screening our student athletes and kids that are participating in extracurricular activities, along with students who ask permission to park on our campus. And so tonight, we just ask for your approval for a second reading of that policy.
Any questions, discussions, ladies and gentlemen?
I have one comment to make. I've probably received more calls and more feedback about this policy than anything since I started serving on the board. And it's run the gamut. Most everyone I've heard from is fully behind our policy. The only questions that I have had are, why are we just enforcing this policy with student athletes and students in extracurricular activities? And so I wanted the public to be aware, and maybe Ms. Bird could speak to that, that this is as far as we can possibly go. So until laws are changed, we can only apply this to a certain segment of our student population. So I just wanted that to be really clear, that we would like to include the discussion around all students, but that's something that's not possible.
Absolutely. When we began looking at this issue, that was one of the first questions that was raised, probably by most of the people that were involved. And those limits are set by Supreme Court decisions. And as the law now stands, the courts have found that it is within the school's purview to test student athletes, members of extracurricular activities, student drivers, and those that opt in the policy. One of the key factors that is taken into consideration is that this is not a punitive policy. That's not what it's designed for. It is a policy designed to target behaviors that create unsafe environments in the school district as well as student health. But when you go into all students, then you're in territory where the consequences associated with failing a drug screen can possibly be tied to grades. And that is something that the courts have said absolutely cannot happen. So that's where we are right now. We're limiting it to the groups that have been clearly identified by the courts because we wanted to make sure our policy was legally sound. And if things change in the future and the courts allow school districts to take that extra step, we'll address that when that time comes.
Thank you, everyone, for clearing that up. Any other questions or comments? None, I'll look for a motion to approve the second reading of policy 09.423.
I'll second
Dr.
that.
Slug, thank you, Mr. White. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried. Thank you all. Moving on to new business, drug screening and medical services, RFP. Ms. Morgana.
Sure. I'd also like to make a comment that at the board table a month or 2 months ago, it was the comment was made to look at in the budget a position possibly for a compliance officer in the implementation. We've also thrown that out onto a poster, kind of on a poster board that we're what's it called when it's fixed to the wall? Thank you, Post-it note. And we've just kind of put all of what we think our needs are for budgeting, for staffing, and that's up there also, members of the board. So we're still considering through the implementation of the policy if that need is there and how possibly that could look like. Okay, so the RFP was sent out after you all approved that. And Mr. Steiner has kind of combed through the responses, and I know he's attached some information into your board packet. And I'll look to Mr. Steiner to give us a recommendation after receiving bids and reviewing those.
We've learned, or I especially have learned a lot about the drug screening process, terms, and different words that people use as they describe the process. And I've got a lot more to learn, but this time the task at hand is to share the results of the RFP. And so on the paper that you've gotten, or that you see above there, the RFP came back, and following services have been recommended that we continue with at this point. Involvement Inc. for the 12-panel urine dip screen for students, K2 urine dip screen for students, and a 12-panel urine dip screen for staff. For Methodist Hospital, the DOT physical, pre-employment physical, and TB skin test. And for the Deaconess Comp Center, essential function test, post-offer basic test, post-offer test with medical history review, and then a post-offer comprehensive test. Those are based on different ways that we've gone through and factored through our RFP process. As a bottom note, one of the things that we were kind of asked to do as well was to create an estimated cost for the student drug screening, and we estimate between $18,000 and $21,240, which would include 576 screens a year, and that comes from 10 at the high school, 3 at South, and 3 at North, and 72 screens in K2, which would be random between those schools. So each week we would come up with 2 students to randomly test for the K2 as we go through the drug screening process. So that's our recommendation at this time, and I do think after hearing what all I've heard over the last few weeks, talking to different folks, that I don't know whether you call it a compliance person or someone else, but the amount of work that this is gonna entail will be quite a bit on administration, and so that's something that we need to consider. I appreciate you guys already bringing that up. Task at hand is to review this and to share this as our recommendation, so these are our recommendations.
Any questions, board members? So can we do all 3 of these with one motion?
You can, and I'll just make a little short note in there that the estimated cost between 18,000 and the 21,000 mark does include specific urine screens that have to also be sent off to the lab for confirmation. Not every student will just have one screen, we understand that, and so we figured in a certain percentage as well. So
Any
we tried to
positive
put that-
whatsoever goes to the lab, so that we don't even have to consider whether it's a yes or no.
We don't want to be the jury there. No, we could have, because it was one RFP and one bid package, I feel like we can take one motion. Was that your question?
Okay, so I'll look for a motion to approve the bid package provided by Involvement Inc., Methodist Hospital, and Deaconess Comp Center for the services listed. Do I hear a motion to that effect? Thank you, Dr. Sugg. I'll second that. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried. Thank you all. Moving on to May board meeting dates. Ms. Morgana?
Sure, a couple things I would like to ask members of the board to consider. I think we briefly talked about this before, and I can't remember a final decision being made, and that is on May 1st is our current work session. On May 1st, Dr. Stephen Pruitt, the Commissioner of Education, will be holding a town meeting in this facility an hour after the work session. I feel like that the work that we've been working on, we're kind of at a point where administration would be okay if we canceled our work session for that evening, or that we obviously would need to cancel it, the recommendation would be, but I don't feel like there's a need to reschedule at this point. And would ask the members of the board and anybody in the audience and anybody watching to attend the town hall meeting with Commissioner Dr. Pruitt that night. He will be in town to listen to the community of Henderson and surrounding counties for input on the new accountability system. So that was a piece. And then the second piece was for the board to discuss that at the regular board meeting on May 15th, it's scheduled at 6 o'clock, that we put a work session around 5 o'clock to go through capstone presentation. We haven't scheduled that this year, and traditionally in the past we've done that in May, and I think 45 minutes that we could have that complete, and then that would give us about 15 minutes for recess before regular board meeting. I'm open to suggestions.
Ms. Morgana, I know you and I had talked earlier that May also brought up, as you talked about staffing, and we began to work on our budgets for the next year. Are those items that we need to go over in our May meeting, or are you suggesting we put those off until June and what we must do in the June work session?
I'm Well, we will need to have the budget approved by May 30th. And I feel like right now, to be honest, by talking with Cindy Cloutier, knowing what we anticipate is coming forward, that I feel like on the board agenda for May 15th that we would be in good shape to take care of all those issues.
Because in the past, we have sometimes we've had a working session to where we could go through the budget a little more, and I realize Dr. Pruitt coming here is important, but I'm not sure if, members of the board, tell me what you think about doing that in a formal board meeting or doing that during a work session. Dr. Seth?
I'd be fine if we canceled the May 1st work session. However, when you're working on the packet for the information for the 15th about the budget, if we're looking at additional staff positions like we have mentioned tonight, I'd like a little heads up on those so that we could be looking at what your thinking is on job description, et cetera. And I think we've all talked about those things and the needs, so I don't think it would be a total surprise to see that. But if we could have a little bit of information prior to the meeting in our board packet, I'd be fine with that.
Ms. Tracy?
No, I was just,
You okay with that?
I was shaking my head, yes, but I was
Mr.
pretty.
Mike?
What was the question? I'm sorry, I'm ready.
You're ready?
No problem.
Do you want to, is it okay with you that we cancel the work session for the first part of May and then move all the rest of that to a regular board meeting?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, I agree with that on the heels of Dr. Sugg saying yes, if we could get some information in advance would be great. Okay, so we need action to cancel our May 1st special call board meeting, working session, so that we may attend the town hall meeting. Do I
I'll
hear?
make that motion.
Thank you, Mr. Mike. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Thank you, Dr. Sugg. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried.
Dr. Pruitt will be here from 6:30 to 8 o'clock in the Community Center. And we're fortunate, he's going to stay the evening, the night in Henderson, and he's going to tour a couple of our schools the following day. So when we get that schedule all worked out, I'll make sure I'll send it to the board members, and you all will be welcome to join us for that.
Also, when we are working on, oh, yes, and you said that as a special, as a regular board meeting, okay. So we do need to set a special call board meeting, on that, what day is it, May the 15th for 5:30? 5 o'clock, to review our capstone project. Do I hear a motion to that effect?
So moved.
Thank you, Ms. Tracy. I'll second that. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried. To tag on to what we were talking about, adding positions and working on budgets, can I make a request that in our budget, we start looking at next year, year after that, that we start reviewing possible pay increases for our teachers and staff in the next couple of years. I know we don't have it. We don't have any dollar amounts, but if that's something we can start reviewing to work on for the next year or two, thinking way far in advance. So yes, so if we can start
You're
doing that in
thinking
the
maybe not
conversation.
this particular fall, but you're talking, looking future into the 16, 17, 18, 19.
18, 19 year, yes, yes. If we can start reviewing some money and where we think we might be and what our potentials might be, including that in our conversations would be great.
Sure.
Thank you, ma'am. Moving on to two technology positions. Mr. Brian Bell?
Madam Chair, members of the board, continuing our conversation from the last work session, we had the conversation about the proposed addition to the technology staff, instructional and technical. Since then, we've worked to develop job descriptions for those positions and included those in your packet for review tonight. I'll be glad to answer any questions you may have.
Any questions, board members? These are all related to what we talked about during our session. Yes, ma'am?
Don't have a question, but I just want to reiterate what I said before at our work session is that the things we're looking at here are truly instructional. And I guess I'm jumping the gun a little bit on this one, but I just want to make sure that any positions we provide that are instructional don't end up being something that takes away time from the teachers in the classroom, that those people are not actually assembling computers or in a pinch. I know we all have all hands on deck mentality, but it's really easy, as everybody knows, to pull somebody in multiple directions. So when we're looking at all of these positions, and I've looked at all of them, together, I just want to make sure that, we're really putting something there that will help teachers on a day-to-day basis.
Yes, ma'am.
Any other questions or comments? Hearing none, I'll look for a motion to approve the 2 technology positions as listed.
So moved, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Mike. Thank you, Ms. Tracy. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Bryan. Moving on to consent agenda. Shortened school day for 3 special education students. Use of school buses. Student overnight trip request. Change in location and destination for our international club trip. Block designee, bid recommendations, grant applications, retiree resolutions, and 2 educators to attend the NEA annual meeting in Boston. Are there any questions or discussion revolving the consent agenda? Cool. I make the motion to approve the consent agenda as listed. Do I hear a
I'll
second?
second that.
Thank you, Mr. Mike. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried. Moving on to personnel actions. Be it noted that we have all received all the information from personnel. And the next section is superintendent contract. Ms. Lisa Bear. A little bit of background to understand where this ended up on our agenda this evening. When Mrs. Stanley was hired, her salary was based on the experience with our district, although she was a first-time superintendent. After her most recent review last year, we had an extension, and discussion regarding the extension of her contract was brought up at that time. Due to it being an election year and potential new board members that were coming on, our attorney, Beth Bird, advised us that the decision and the discussion would have to wait until after the new board member or members were seated and sworn in. You may remember that a vote of confidence was also given at the end of the year with the prior board, noting their approval and their thought process of what they intended to do. Before today's meeting, myself and Mrs. Bird did some extensive research into contracts, salaries, size of districts, close proximity to Henderson County, and the ranking of schools by independent review sources. That information was individually shared with each one of these board members. Based on her performance, the performance of the district, and the data that we have received regarding similar district, and the knowledge that Mrs. Stanley would very much like to complete her 5-year plan, strategic plan, and reach that goal that she set out to accomplish. It is our collective belief that Mrs. Stanley's contract that ends in June 30th, 2018, be renewed for 3 years with the following changes. A change in salary to $145,000 a year, a change in a provided annuity contribution to $10,000 per year, and that contract to conclude on June 30th, 2021. Anything to be added to that discussion of those comments? none, I look for a motion to extend the contract with those provisions.
I'd like to make that motion, and I'd like to explain my motion. I think all of us probably have some things we want to say, but I asked to go first because I just want to get my thoughts out there and let people know what my thoughts are. One of the goals that I had as a school board member was to make sure that we were operating in a business-like fashion from top to bottom, and with our policies and our procedures to make sure that we were not, we were always saying what we mean and doing what we said. And I know that sometimes hasn't been the case in the past, and I really feel like that Ms. Stanley has given our organization organizational direction more than anything else. Everything that we work on as a board and everything that I know of that the school system is working on at the classroom level all the way to student level are all coordinated. All of those are arrows pointing in the same direction. And so I really applaud that and have been pleasantly surprised and pleased that it's happened so quickly. So kudos to her for that. Also, we really were facing some budget challenges when Ms. Stanley took over. We had quite a bit of money sitting in our contingency fund that wasn't, in my opinion, being used for the students that were sitting in the seats at that time. So we had to face some budget challenges and some rearrangement of funds, and I think she's done a fantastic job of helping us as a board put the dollars closest to the students and where the students and the teachers can have those resources. So I applaud all of the work she's done, great leadership, and just am very excited about the direction that this district is going in and look forward to the next 3 years.
Thank you, Dr. Sugg. Mr. Mike, Ms. Tracy, anything to add to that?
I've nothing to add, other than I'm in support of the contract. I think it's well worth it, and Ms. Stanley's leadership is well suited. Appreciate it.
There were two main goals that I looked at and really wanted to see happen, and they've happened, and it's such a pleasant school system to work in. Our students and staff, I feel like, are so fortunate to have her. My two goals were that we had a superintendent that was more in touch with our students daily, and she is, and more in touch with our staff and their concerns that they have about our school system and making it the best school system that it can be. And I think those two things have happened abundantly, and I think our staff of Henderson County Schools are so fortunate, and our students, to have Mrs. Stanley, and I just applaud every day, and her staff. I can't just say Ms. Stanley because her staff makes her as good as she is. And without her staff that she has that works so well together and meshes together, our school system wouldn't be what it is. But I love hearing people say, Ms. Stanley was at my school today, not only students but staff, and they know her, and she's there, and she's out there all the time. You pretty much can't call the district office and get Ms. Stanley because Robin says she's in the school. She's in a school. I'm like, could you get her back? I don't really say that, but I mean, and that's wonderful because that's where she needs to be. So we are so fortunate to have you. Thank you.
On that note, would you like to second that motion, Ms. Tracy?
Second.
Thank you. And I too applaud everything Ms. Stanley has done. I know we have looked for some transparency when we have talked about this board before and everything that these schools are doing. I think we have succeeded in that, getting the staff comfortable with going to a superintendent and being able to talk freely, and they've been able to do that. Getting our students to be able to come up to Ms. Stanley and tell her what they think, and they do, has been an accomplishment. Moving our district forward technology-wise, has always been a goal and a passion of mine, and under her leadership, we are moving forward on that as well. So, hearing a motion and a second, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried. Ms. Stanley, would you like to say anything? What? I see you sitting over here just chomping at the bit.
How to say it concisely might be a little challenging. Lots of you made comments about what your goals were or what you hope to see. And I too, even just upon thinking about interviewing for the position, have personal goals along with our district goals of what we want to accomplish. And if you summarized it, I would want the Henderson County Schools to be the best across the nation. That our students, regardless of what your address is in Henderson County, gets the highest quality of education possible and the opportunities they need to do whatever they want to in life when they walk across that stage. I like our strategic plan. It works hard and it works well because of the staff that works with me. There is no doubt. The folks pretty well that are left here tonight at the board meeting are the folks who really make those things happen day to day, and the successes here really couldn't happen without the support in their work as well. I am pleased with the process we have. I love my job. I love what I do. And I look forward to finishing this contract another year, plus 3 more. So I guess if Mr. Corsi was still here, I'd tell him, get the bass boat ready. Everybody hang on, because we're moving ahead for 4 more years, and we're going to finish that strategic plan. So, thank you all. Absolutely, I would. Thank you very much. We did have some discussions. Money's not something I'm good about talking about. You all know me well enough to know you get kind of in the personal side, and I shy away there a little bit. But I do want to let you all know publicly that I do plan to put $4,000 per year and give that back to Cindy Cloutier and ask her to start to put that into a reading fund for our students. And we'll spend that money in creative ways, whether it's books for students, whether it's adding something that I can complement your literacy nights with at the schools that kids need, maybe some parent trainings. But I believe enough in our mission statement and our vision and what we're doing that I very willingly want to put $4,000 a year towards whatever we can do to help enhance the reading of our students. So, thanks for reminding me of that. Appreciate it.
I think that's a wonderful program, and I think it is also a testament to your passion for our kids and your passion for what we do. So, thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, we are going to be moving into executive session, so we thank you all for joining us this evening. I need a motion to go into executive session pursuant to... Tracy, hold on.
I'll second.
Hold on. I have to read it. Pursuant to KRS 61.8101F, for discussions or hearings that might lead to discipline of a student. Who made the motion? Tracy. And Mike second. All in favor? Motion carried. Tracy.